Refill the water, quietly, and don't let anyone see you.
Just keep your head down. Get through the night.
Did she really just speak to her like that? Like she was nothing more than a piece of furniture.
The banquet hall buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses, a sea of formal suits and silk dresses, completely unaware of the small humiliation at the edge of the room. Mary moved between the tables, the water pitcher cool in her hands. She filled each glass with practiced precision, but no one glanced up, invisible as the tablecloth.
She's probably done this for years, night after night, and nobody has ever cared.
Her expression was blank, but it was the blankness of someone who had stopped hoping for anything more.
But she's not just a janitor. She's a person who deserves the same respect as anyone else in this room.
The gala glittered on, blind to the woman carrying water at its edges, but one man saw, and he couldn't look away.
I can't just sit here. I have to do something. She deserves to be seen, even if I am the only one who does it.
Anthony pushed back his chair and made his way to the service door at the back of the hall. The corridor was stark and quiet, far from the chandeliers and laughter. Mary stood by her cart, organizing pitchers.
Excuse me. You've been at this a long time, haven't you?
22 years. Night shift, mostly. People don't pay much attention to the cleaning after hours.
That's incredible. You must have seen so much. Ever helped someone who really needed it?
Once, a young woman in the stairwell, crying. She was about to quit. I just told her not to let them win.
And did anyone ever thank you? Clap for you? Recognize what you did?
No one ever claps for the janitor. We just keep the lights on while the world applauds everyone else.
She said it like a fact of nature, but something in her voice was a wound that never healed.
The silence that followed was heavy. Somewhere beyond the door, the gala continued, forgetting her once again.
The young woman in the stairwell. Who was she? What happened to her?
It doesn't matter now. That was another life. She's probably forgotten me by now.
It matters to me. Please, even the smallest kindness can change a life. I want to know.
Mary's gaze drifted, and for a moment she was back in that cold stairwell decades ago. A young woman sat on the steps, sobbing.
She was trembling, her resignation letter crumpled in her fist. She said she was a failure, that she'd never amount to anything. I just sat beside her, offered her a cup of tea, and told her she was stronger than she knew, that she shouldn't let them win. The next day, she didn't show up. I never learned what happened to her. I always hoped she found her way. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to work. The water won't refill itself.
She pushed her cart back into the shadows of the corridor. Anthony stood alone, the mystery of the unknown woman coiled tightly in his mind. He returned to his seat just as the CEO, Catherine Williams, took the stage, her voice filling the hall with talk of perseverance and second chances.
Perseverance isn't just about working hard. It's about having someone who sees you when you can't see yourself.
Anthony's gaze drifted to Mary, who was silently refilling water at a nearby table. No one acknowledged her.
She's been doing this for 22 years. She's the one who believed in someone else. Yet, she's completely invisible.
Tonight, we celebrate the people who lift us up, the ones who give us courage when we have none.
Mary's hands moved mechanically, her face devoid of any expectation. She had long accepted her place in the shadows.
This gala is about gratitude, but no one here knows the real debt they owe. It's not right. It's not right. It's not fair.
The CEO's words seemed hollow, echoing over the heads of people who had never truly noticed the woman who kept things running.
I have to do something. I can't let her story stay buried. Even if it's just a small gesture, she deserves to be recognized.
His hands clenched under the table. The decision settled into his bones, though he still didn't know what form it would take. The gala glittered on, but for Anthony, the real story was now an unspoken promise, waiting for the right moment.
You know, the janitor here has worked 22 years. She once talked a young employee out of quitting. changed the company's future.
The man beside him barely looked up. Somebody has to clean, he muttered, and turned back to his dinner.
Somebody has to clean. That's all they see. A pair of hands, not a person.
Frustration simmering, Anthony rose and walked back toward the service corridor to find the event coordinator.
The janitor, Mary, she's been here 22 years. Why is no one acknowledging her tonight?
She's just the cleaning lady. Her job is to refill water, not receive trophies. Now, please, I have a schedule to keep.
Just the cleaning lady. That phrase sums up everything wrong in this room.
Linda turned on her heel and disappeared into the crowd, leaving Anthony alone at the threshold. In that moment, he realized no one else in this gala saw Mary as anything more than a uniform. The decision would have to be his alone.
Then so be it. If I am the only one, I'll still make sure she's seen tonight, somehow.
Anthony found Mary again near the service elevator, her cart half empty, her movements slow with the weight of the long night.
The young woman you helped. Do you remember her name? Anything about her?
She didn't give a last name. She just said, "My name is Catherine." She was maybe 22, so full of pain.
Anthony's heart stopped. Catherine. The name echoed like a bell tolling through the din of the gala.
Catherine. The CEO on stage is Catherine Williams. It can't be a coincidence. 22 years. It has to be her.
It was so long ago. I still wonder if she ever made it. I'd like to think she's doing something good somewhere.
She had no idea. The woman whose life she changed was in the same building, speaking into a microphone, while Mary filled water glasses.
She's 30 feet from the person who owes her everything, and she doesn't even know it. This can't stay hidden. But how do I break this to her?
You look like you've seen a ghost. Is something wrong?
No, I am fine. I really hope you are right about her. I have a good feeling she did more than just survive.
Anthony hurried back to his table, his mind racing. He needed proof before he could even think about next steps. The gala program was still on the table. Between a wine glass and a crumpled napkin, he snatched it up, scanning the pages until he found the CEO's biography. Catherine Williams joined the company 22 years ago, rose through the ranks to become the first female CEO.
22 years. The exact same time Mary worked here. It's her. The crying girl in the stairwell is running the whole company now.
On stage, Catherine was still giving her speech, smiling at the applauding crowd, surrounded by light.
She's standing there talking about the people who save you, and she doesn't even know the woman who saved her is refilling water glasses 10 feet away. This is the biggest injustice I've ever witnessed, and I am the only one who can fix it. But how can I? If I tell her, Mary might not even want the attention, but if I don't, she'll spend the rest of her life invisible, and Catherine will never know who really made her career possible.
The gala continued around him, oblivious. But inside Anthony, a plan was beginning to form. A quiet, defiant plan. He found Mary again, near the service elevator, her cart nearly empty, her shoulders drooping with exhaustion.
Mary, I know who the young woman was. The one you helped in the stairwell. She's here tonight.
What do you mean she's here? That was decades ago. She was just a girl with a crumpled letter.
Catherine Williams, the CEO. She started here 22 years ago, just when you spoke to her. She never quit. She rose because of you.
Number. No, that can't be. You are wrong. I didn't do anything special. I just gave her tea and a few kind words.
It was everything. And she deserves to know. You deserve to be recognized. Tonight, we can finally correct this.
Please, don't say anything. It would embarrass her and me. I am just the janitor. I don't belong in the spotlight.
She's so afraid. But if I honor her wish, she stays invisible. If I don't, I betray her trust. There's no right answer.
Promise me you won't say a word, please. I've been invisible for 22 years. I'd rather keep it that way.
I promise. But Mary, you deserve more than you'll ever know.
Anthony left the corridor, the weight of his promise suffocating. He needed air. Outside, the night was quiet. He leaned against the building, staring at the distant city lights.
She'd rather stay invisible. But can a life overlooked ever be just? If I keep silent, she disappears again. Catherine never knows who saved her. But if I speak, I become another person who ignored her wishes, she said. No one ever claps for the janitor. What if one person did? Just one. I can't change her whole life, but I can give her a moment. One moment of being seen. She might hate me for it, but I'd rather she be briefly uncomfortable than permanently invisible.
He pushed off the wall, his decision final. He turned back toward the gala.
I'll wait for the pause in the speech. Then I'll stand. One clap. Let it matter.
He slipped back into the ballroom, his heart pounding. Catherine was still at the podium, her speech winding down.
So, as we close tonight, I want to thank each of you for being part of this incredible journey.
The room fell into a respectful silence, all eyes on the stage.
This is it. No turning back now.
His gaze shifted to the back of the hall, where Mary stood half hidden behind a pillar, holding an empty pitcher. Slowly, he pushed his chair back, the scrape of wood against floor a small defiance in the hush. He rose to his feet. Just one man in a denim shirt among a sea of suits. The guests at his table stared, puzzled. A low whisper rippled through the nearby tables.
For Mary. For every invisible person who never got their due.
The gala held its breath, the silence stretching thin. Something was about to break. Then, in the heavy silence, a single sound cut through. A slow, deliberate clap. Every head in the ballroom turned. A wave of whispered confusion rippled across the tables. Catherine's hand froze mid-gesture. The words on her lips died, replaced by bewilderment. She followed his unflinching stare, past the glittering centerpieces, to the back of the hall, and then recognition hit like a physical blow.
Mary, it's you. After all these years.
The name sliced through the silence, and every guest turned to follow Catherine's gaze. Mary stood paralyzed, the pitcher slipping in her grasp, her mind unable to process the impossible.
She remembered me. All these years. And she never forgot. But why now?
The gala, moments before a routine celebration, had transformed into a living memory. No one claps for the janitor, she had said. But tonight, the janitor was the only one they could see. Catherine stepped away from the podium, her voice trembling as she called the name again.
Mary, please come up here.
A wave of whispered confusion rolled through the room, but it was laced with a strange anticipation.
22 years ago, I was a young employee on the verge of giving up. This woman found me crying in a stairwell and simply told me not to let them win. She never asked for thanks. She never even gave her full name, but she saved my career, and I've never forgotten.
Catherine extended her hand toward the back of the hall, a gesture of invitation and gratitude.
Mary, please, come up here. Let me finally thank you in front of everyone.
Mary stood frozen, the pitcher now hanging limp at her side, her eyes glistening. Then, a figure in denim appeared beside her. Anthony gently took her arm, steadying her. Together, they began the slow walk down the aisle, the sea of suits parting before them. At the foot of the stage, Catherine pulled Mary into a fierce embrace, the years collapsing between them.
Thank you. After all this time, thank you.
She pulled back, her hands trembling, as she pressed the microphone into Mary's hand. Mary stared at the microphone as if it were a foreign object, her lips moving without sound.
I can't.
Gently, Catherine took the microphone back, her own voice thick with emotion.
22 years ago, I was 22 years old and ready to resign. I was sitting on a cold stairwell, papers in hand, sobbing. Then the night janitor appeared. She didn't know my title or my project. She just saw a broken person and sat down beside me.
The ballroom was silent, every guest leaning forward, captivated by a story they never expected to hear.
She brought me tea, told me I was stronger than I knew, and those 10 minutes changed my entire life. I had just been humiliated in a meeting. My boss told me I'd never be anything more than an assistant. I was ready to disappear.
In the flashback, a young woman sat slumped on the cold concrete, her resignation papers crumpled in her fist.
And then a voice, quiet and steady, said, "You look like you could use some tea."
In the memory, Mary handed her a chipped mug, the steam rising between them.
She didn't know my name, my department. She just said, "Don't let them win. You are stronger than you think."
The young Catherine had looked up, her tears drying, and for the first time that week, she believed she might be okay.
I went back to my desk the next day. I never quit. Every promotion, every success, I traced it back to that cup of tea.
Tears streamed down Mary's face, her whole body trembling. Decades of invisible labor, finally acknowledged.
And she never asked for anything in return. She just kept cleaning, night after night, invisible, but not anymore.
The ballroom held its collective breath, 100 hearts beating as one, waiting. Catherine turned, her eyes finding the man in denim who had started it all.
"Please come up here. What's your name?"
Anthony hesitated, then walked up the steps, his denim shirt stark against the formal suits.
"You started the clap. Why?"
Because she said no one ever claps for the janitor. And I realized she's been invisible for 22 years, saving lives with a cup of tea. I couldn't stand by and watch such kindness go unnoticed. Not anymore.
Thank you. You saw what we all missed. Tonight, you gave me back a piece of my history.
He did it. Despite me telling him not to. It's terrifying, but maybe not wrong.
A moment passed between them, an understanding that needed no words. The ballroom remained suspended in silence, but the air had shifted. The story was no longer just Catherine's.
Tonight, in Mary's honor, this company will create the Unsung Hero Award to recognize those who change lives without ever seeking the spotlight.
Then she began to clap. A slow, steady beat. Her eyes locked on Mary. A few scattered claps answered from the tables. Tentative at first, then growing more certain. One by one, chairs scraped back as people rose to their feet, the sound of applause swelling like an incoming tide. Mary clutched her chest, her face a storm of disbelief and overwhelming emotion.
This is what one clap can do. It's not just Catherine anymore. It's everyone.
The applause rolled over her, 30 years of silent service being answered in a single moment. The sound grew into a roar, but had not yet reached its peak. The room was standing, but the ovation was still building.
Never again, never will a person like Mary go unnoticed. Not in this company.
The applause held, a thunderous acknowledgement that hung in the air, waiting for the final release. Then, like dominoes, the last hesitant guests rose. The ovation became a single thunderous voice.
I can't believe this is happening. They're all standing for me.
Catherine crossed to Mary and pulled her into a tight embrace, the two women anchoring each other in the storm of applause.
This is what one clap can do. A single sound, and now the whole room is hers.
The applause swelled, reverberating off the walls, a physical force that seemed to lift the chandeliers. It was the only standing ovation of the night, the only one that mattered.
They said no one ever claps for the janitor. Listen to them now.
As the embrace broke, Catherine took Mary's hand and raised it high, like a champion.
She'll never clean in the shadows again. Tonight, she's the brightest light in this room.
The ovation rolled on, wave after wave, with no sign of ending. The applause finally began to ebb, but before it could fully die, Catherine handed the microphone back to Mary.
I don't know what to say. 22 years. And I thought I'd just fade away without anyone ever noticing. Thank you, Catherine, for remembering. And thank you She turned to Anthony, to the stranger in the denim shirt. You were the first stranger who ever saw me. You started this, and I'll never forget it.
Anthony's eyes glistened, but he only nodded, his throat too tight for words.
I said earlier tonight that no one ever claps for the janitor. I was wrong. Thank you all for proving me wrong.
The room erupted again, the applause even louder than before, a tidal wave of recognition. Catherine and Anthony stepped back, letting Mary stand alone in the spotlight, the center of the universe for one perfect moment. The woman who never expected applause had finally received it, and the sound filled every corner of the hall. The applause gradually faded, but the warmth remained, a collective exhale after the storm.
This is her moment now. She doesn't need me hovering. Time to step back.
Anthony quietly descended the stage steps, his denim shirt blending into the shadows at the edge of the room. Catherine pulled Mary into another embrace, whispering something that made Mary laugh through her tears. Then the guests surged forward, a line of well-dressed strangers suddenly eager to shake her hand.
I've never touched so many hands in one night. They're looking at me like I am someone important.
Mary shook hand after hand, each touch a small undoing of years of invisibility. From his spot against the back wall, Anthony watched, a quiet smile on his face.
I broke my promise, but I think she forgives me. Look at her shining.
Mary stood at the center of a circle of admiration, her powder blue dress somehow matching the spotlight's glow. As the crowd eventually thinned, Mary slipped away, her eyes scanning the room's edges until they found him.
There you are. I was afraid you'd leave without saying goodbye.
I didn't want to intrude on your moment. It was yours.
It wouldn't have been a moment at all without you. You started the whole thing.
I only did what you do every single day. Notice someone who needed it.
Thank you for breaking your promise. Tonight, that meant more than you'll ever know.
She thanked me for betraying her trust. That's a grace I didn't expect.
She squeezed his hand once, then turned toward the ballroom, where the celebration still hummed.
That was enough. That one thank you from her was worth more than 1,000 standing ovations.
He stood there a moment longer, the sound of distant laughter washing over him, a quiet witness to a night that had rewritten a life. He took one last look into the ballroom. Mary stood at the edge of the dance floor, a champagne glass now in her hand. She looked up and caught his eye. For a heartbeat, the room fell away. She lifted the champagne flute a fraction of an inch. A silent toast. A thank you.
That's the only ovation I need.
He smiled back, then let the moment dissolve, turning away before his presence could pull her out of her own celebration. His footsteps echoed through the empty corridor, past the abandoned janitor's cart, toward the glass doors. The night air hit him cool and clean. Behind him, the muffled hum of conversations and occasional laughter. The building stood solid behind him, windows glowing, a monument to corporate success that had, for one night, also become a monument to unseen kindness.
A janitor got a standing ovation tonight. Not because she cleaned, because she cared.
He walked away into the night, his denim shirt a fading silhouette, the story of Mary already rewriting what forgotten meant. The night wrapped around him, and for a moment, he simply stood at the edge of the parking lot, breathing.
All it took was one person to see her. That's all any of us ever need.
The faint echo of applause drifted through the glass doors behind him, a ghost of a sound that would soon fade, but he knew that for one woman, the echo would last a lifetime. Mary had been invisible until a stranger in a denim shirt decided she wasn't, and that had been enough.
Maybe that's the secret. Just notice the people who think they don't matter.
He turned away from the light, his figure dissolving into the normalcy of the night. Inside, the gala would go on a little longer, but it had already become something else entirely. A celebration not of titles or milestones, but of the quiet hands that keep the world turning. And somewhere in the back, a woman in a powder blue dress would never have to refill a water glass in the shadows again.